leave the world speechless. Unlike alpha males who seek dominance in social hierarchies, sigma males choose a solitary path, detached from the rat race, yet fully aware of their surroundings. They don't crave attention, but they command respect simply by being themselves. This calm intensity is rooted in psychology and evolutionary biology. Sigma males exhibit high emotional intelligence and self-reliance, traits that naturally attract attention without effort. Women are drawn to the sigma male as enigmatic aura, the silent strength that contrasts with the noisy chaos around him. He operates like a predator, stalking his environment with focused awareness, yet carries the serenity of a monk who's mastered inner peace. This combination creates an invisible boundary that disrupts typical social dynamics. It causes confusion in some, admiration in others, and even envy in those who can't grasp his unique approach to life and relationships. Over the next 10 minutes, we'll dive deep into what women truly see when they look at a sigma male, and why those qualities rewrite the rules of attraction and social interaction, leaving everyone else speechless. Number 1, he radiates calm in chaos. Women notice how the sigma male remains completely unfazed even when social storms rage around him. Unlike most people who scramble to prove their worth or react impulsively in tense situations, the sigma maintains an unshakable calm. This serene composure isn't born from indifference, but from deep self-awareness and inner confidence. Scientifically, this calm state triggers a powerful psychological effect called social proof. People instinctively respect those who don't need to shout to be heard. The sigma's calm intensity acts like a lighthouse in the middle of a chaotic storm, guiding others without demanding attention. This magnetic presence is rooted in emotional intelligence, a trait many underestimate. By controlling his emotions and choosing when to respond, the sigma male creates an aura of mystery and strength that women find irresistibly attractive. This doesn't mean he's cold or aloof. Rather, he is selectively engaged, showing that he values himself more than external validation. Studies in social psychology show that confidence paired with calmness is one of the most compelling traits for attraction because it signals stability and reliability, qualities essential for long-term connection. In contrast, those who react aggressively or nervously often repel others because they appear unpredictable or insecure. Women, often attuned to these subtle signals, are drawn to the sigma because his quiet power suggests he's a man who walks his own path without being derailed by social pressure. This unique combination of stoicism and magnetic calm not only sets the sigma apart, but also makes him stand out in any crowd, creating a silent yet powerful presence that is hard to ignore. Number 2, he rejects the social script. Unlike men who chase status or approval, the sigma male charts his own course, independent and self-reliant, often standing apart from social hierarchies and conventional expectations. This unique stance isn't about rebellion for the sake of it, but rather a deep-rooted confidence and clarity about who he is and what he values. Psychologically, sigmas embody traits of introversion blended with a strong sense of autonomy, which allows them to navigate the world on their own terms without seeking validation from external sources. Women, whether consciously or not, pick up on this distinctive energy, a magnetic mix of mystery, quiet strength, and self-possession. It's not just that the sigma male refuses to conform, it's that he moves with a kind of effortless authenticity that contrasts sharply with men who are visibly chasing social approval or status symbols. This authenticity can be confusing because it doesn't fit the traditional mold of dominance or leadership seen in more extroverted alpha males. Instead, it creates an intriguing aura of unpredictability and depth, inviting curiosity and admiration. Scientific studies on attraction suggest that confidence paired with genuine self-assurance tends to be highly attractive, more so than displays of dominance or power. The sigma male's refusal to conform often translates into an ability to listen, reflect, and engage with people on a deeper level, which women find emotionally appealing. In a world saturated with performative behaviors and social media facades, the sigma's genuine detachment from external approval stands out as refreshingly real. This combination of independence, authenticity, and emotional depth creates a powerful allure, making the sigma male a captivating presence that naturally draws attention, not by force, but simply by being unapologetically himself. Number 3, he is mysterious by choice. The Sigma male's silence isn't accidental, it's a carefully crafted part of his persona. Unlike many who fill the air with unnecessary chatter, the Sigma chooses his words sparingly, understanding that silence can be far more powerful than noise. This deliberate quietness sets clear boundaries, signaling that his inner world is private, not for casual consumption. It's this controlled reserve that sparks curiosity in women and others around him. Humans are naturally drawn to mystery. When someone doesn't reveal everything about themselves immediately, it invites deeper attention and speculation. Psychologically, the allure of the unknown taps into our brain's reward system, releasing dopamine when we try to uncover secrets, making interaction with a Sigma a subtly addictive experience. The Sigma's silence creates a space where observation replaces conversation, and that space feels magnetic. Women in particular find themselves intrigued not just by what the Sigma shows, but by the layers he keeps hidden. This dynamic is unlike the loud, extroverted male archetype who broadcasts every thought and feeling, often losing intrigue through overexposure. Instead, the Sigma's reserved nature suggests confidence and emotional control, qualities that are scientifically linked to higher perceived attractiveness. Research in social psychology shows that people who maintain healthy boundaries and practice selective self-disclosure tend to be respected more and viewed as more desirable partners. The Sigma's silence isn't about being cold or uninterested, it's a conscious choice to protect his energy, maintain autonomy, and keep people guessing. This delicate balance between presence and mystery is what makes the Sigma male fascinating. He isn't easily figured out, and that challenge makes connecting with him all the more compelling. Number 4, he thrives in solitude without loneliness. Women notice that he's comfortable being alone, and this subtle yet powerful trait sets him apart. It's important to understand that this isn't about loneliness or isolation. It's a deep expression of self-reliance and emotional independence. Throughout history, humans have often equated being alone with feeling lonely or incomplete. But modern psychology and social studies show a different picture, especially when it comes to individuals who thrive in solitude. Being comfortable alone means he's mastered the art of enjoying his own company, reflecting on his thoughts, and pursuing his passions without relying on external validation. This ability to self-soothe and stay grounded without distraction is actually a marker of emotional intelligence and maturity. Women pick up on this because it signals that he doesn't cling to relationships out of insecurity or fear, but rather chooses connection from a place of strength and clarity. Studies in social psychology reveal that people who are secure in their solitude tend to have better mental health and more stable interpersonal relationships. They are less likely to fall into codependent patterns or seek constant approval. From an evolutionary perspective, this self-sufficiency mirrors the traits of a leader or someone who can withstand challenges independently. It also creates an aura of mystery and confidence that many find irresistibly magnetic. Instead of needing constant social stimulation, he cultivates his inner world, making him richer intellectually and emotionally. Women notice this because it stands in stark contrast to the noise and chaos of social media culture, where many are addicted to constant interaction. His quiet confidence and comfort in being alone often communicate that he's a man who truly knows himself, and that kind of authenticity is rare, captivating, and deeply attractive. Number 5, he controls emotion with precision. Unlike most men who are often driven by impulse and react quickly to emotions, the Sigma male stands apart by mastering his feelings with remarkable control. This emotional discipline creates a unique aura, a calmness that is both steady and unpredictable, a paradox that draws people in, especially women. Unlike the loud, reactive energy many men exhibit, the Sigma male's calm is not passive but powerful. It's the kind of calm that comes from deep self-awareness and inner strength, reflecting a mind that processes emotions thoughtfully, rather than being swept away by them. This emotional mastery doesn't mean the Sigma male is detached or cold. Rather, it means he chooses when and how to express his feelings, creating a magnetic and trustworthy presence. Women are often instinctively attracted to this because it signals reliability and stability, qualities that are rare and highly valued in a world where emotions can feel chaotic and unpredictable. From a psychological standpoint, this emotional regulation is tied to higher emotional intelligence, a trait linked to better relationship outcomes and social success. Research shows that individuals who can manage their emotions effectively tend to have more fulfilling connections because they communicate clearly and calmly even in stressful situations. The Sigma male embodies this principle effortlessly, creating a space where women feel safe and respected. This calm is not a mask, but a genuine reflection of his self-mastery, making him stand out in any social setting. Unlike men who wear their hearts on their sleeves, the Sigma male's unpredictability is not about mood swings, but about the subtle power of choosing when to engage deeply and when to remain serene. This blend of emotional control and mystery is what makes him so intriguing and magnetic, a quiet force that commands respect without demanding it loudly. Number 6, he operates with purpose, not reaction. Every Sigma move is strategic. Women sense this quiet calculation, a man who's always several steps ahead, not trapped in the moment. Unlike the flashy alpha who commands attention with overt dominance, the Sigma male operates under a different code. He's the silent architect of his own life, meticulously planning his actions with precision and purpose. This is not about arrogance or seeking approval. It's about a deep internal mastery of self and circumstance. Psychologically, Sigma males tend to exhibit high emotional intelligence paired with a strong sense of independence, which means they understand social dynamics but choose their interactions selectively. Women pick up on this energy instinctively. It's the subtle confidence in his calm demeanor, the way he listens more than he speaks, and the quiet assurance that comes from knowing his path. Neuroscience shows that people are wired to detect patterns in behavior, so when a Sigma male consistently acts with intention, it registers as magnetic and intriguing. His detachment from social validation makes him unpredictable, which paradoxically increases his allure because he's not bound by the usual scripts of behavior. Instead, he charts his own course, often creating an aura of mystery that women find irresistible. In a world where many are caught in reactive cycles of emotion and impulse, the Sigma's ability to remain composed, thoughtful, and forward-thinking stands out. This quiet calculation signals strength without neediness, intelligence without arrogance, and depth without pretense, a rare combination that women intuitively respect and are drawn to. Ultimately, the Sigma male's strategic moves reflect an internal discipline and clarity that make him not just a man, but a force that shapes his environment with subtlety and power. Number 7, he ghosts without guilt. Women often notice how a Sigma male masterfully removes himself from toxic or draining interactions with an effortless grace that many mistake for aloofness or disinterest. But this silence is far from avoidance. It's a profound display of power and self-control. Unlike those who react impulsively or seek validation through endless chatter, the Sigma male understands that true strength lies in discerning when to engage and when to step back. Psychologically, silence in this context acts like a shield, protecting his energy from unnecessary conflict or emotional exhaustion. By choosing not to feed into negativity, he maintains his emotional sovereignty, which is incredibly magnetic to those around him. This behavior is rooted in emotional intelligence, an ability to recognize and manage one's own emotions and influence the emotions of others. Women instinctively pick up on this emotional mastery, sensing that he is not easily shaken or manipulated. It's a silent confidence that communicates without words that he is in control of his world and refuses to be dragged into drama. Scientific studies have shown that people who practice emotional regulation, like strategic silence, often experience lower stress levels and better interpersonal outcomes. This kind of poised detachment is not cold or disconnected, but a deliberate choice to preserve mental clarity and personal boundaries. Moreover, in social psychology, such selective engagement builds respect because it signals that one values their own time and energy highly. Women are drawn not just to his independence, but to the clear message he sends: I will not compromise my peace for the sake of approval or chaos. This blend of quiet strength and emotional wisdom makes the Sigma male uniquely compelling and enigmatic, an individual who commands respect and intrigue without ever raising his voice. Number 8, he commands respect without demanding it. Women observe his quiet confidence. He doesn't need to raise his voice or prove his worth. Respect follows naturally. This kind of confidence is not loud or flashy, it's calm, steady, and deeply rooted in self-assurance. Unlike those who seek validation through attention or boasting, a man with quiet confidence understands his value without needing to announce it. Psychologically, this is a powerful trait because it signals emotional stability and self-control, qualities that are highly attractive and reassuring in social and romantic contexts. Studies in social psychology show that people tend to trust and respect individuals who exhibit calm composure, as it often reflects intelligence and competence. This quiet confidence is a subtle form of charisma. It's the way he carries himself without trying too hard, how his body language is relaxed but purposeful, and how his gaze is direct but not aggressive. Women pick up on these signals instinctively. In evolutionary terms, confidence without arrogance suggests reliability and strength, traits that historically increase chances of survival and successful partnership. Moreover, this kind of demeanor fosters respect organically, as it implies a man who values himself and others equally. There is no need for him to compete for attention because his presence alone commands it. This contrasts sharply with louder, more overt displays of confidence, which can sometimes feel forced or insecure underneath. In a world filled with noise and overstimulation, the quiet confidence of such a man stands out like a calm island amid chaos. It invites curiosity, admiration, and trust, all without saying a word. This natural respect isn't just about how others see him, it's also about how he views himself, grounded in genuine self-worth rather than superficial bravado. Ultimately, this silent strength is magnetic because it is real, consistent, and profoundly compelling. Number 9, he holds boundaries firmly. The Sigma male is a fascinating figure in social dynamics, often described as the lone wolf who walks his own path, independent and self-reliant. Unlike alphas, who assert dominance through outward leadership, or betas, who tend to follow, Sigmas operate on a different frequency, one of quiet confidence and unshakable boundaries. Whether interacting with alphas, betas, or even skilled manipulators, the Sigma's boundaries are clear and firm, lines that no one dares to cross. This is not about aggression or intimidation, but a natural and calm assertion of self-respect and personal limits. In fact, these boundaries act like an invisible armor, a protective shield that signals, "This is who I am, and I won't tolerate disrespect or intrusion." Women in particular tend to notice and respect this kind of protective aura. It's magnetic because it reflects inner strength rather than external bravado. Psychologically, humans are wired to sense boundaries because they provide safety and clarity in social interactions. When a Sigma male maintains his boundaries, he creates a space where mutual respect can thrive. This is why many women feel drawn to Sigmas, not because they dominate or seek control, but because they offer consistency, integrity, and emotional security. Unlike those who might bend or break under pressure, Sigmas remain steadfast, showing that true power often lies in self-discipline and calm resolve rather than loud dominance. This protective armor also keeps manipulators at bay, who often prey on unclear or weak boundaries. In essence, the Sigma male's ability to set and uphold boundaries is a silent language of respect, strength, and self-worth that naturally commands admiration from others. Number 10, he builds a legacy through quiet mastery. Women witness a man who measures success not by the number of followers he has or the applause he receives, but by the genuine growth he achieves, the skills he hones, and the influence he quietly cultivates. This kind of man walks a path defined by relentless progress, a journey fueled by an internal drive to constantly improve, learn, and evolve. Unlike those chasing external validation, he seeks mental freedom, breaking free from society's expectations and distractions that often cloud true purpose. History shows us that some of the most impactful figures never shouted for attention or demanded praise. Instead, their legacy was built on quiet dedication and consistent effort. For example, innovators like Nikola Tesla or artists like Vincent van Gogh weren't widely celebrated during their lifetimes, but left an indelible mark through their skill and vision. This man's impact is subtle yet powerful, felt long after he steps out of the spotlight. He understands that true influence comes from depth and authenticity, not surface-level popularity. Women are drawn to this because it speaks of stability, strength, and a grounded sense of self that can't be shaken by fleeting trends or social pressures. Such a man embodies a stoic mindset, prioritizing substance over spectacle. and his presence inspires those around him to aim higher without needing to be loud or boastful. This approach reflects a growing cultural shift where personal mastery and meaningful connections are prized over superficial success. In a world obsessed with instant fame, his steady climb serves as a reminder that the most enduring power comes from within, cultivated quietly, expressed through action, and witnessed by those who recognize true value beyond the noise. These 10 surprising traits women notice in Sigma males aren't just myths or hype. They reveal the reality of a man who walks his path alone with quiet confidence. He moves with deliberate precision, commanding respect without needing to raise his voice. Understanding a Sigma male offers a glimpse into a rare mindset, one defined by calm strength, unwavering focus, and a magnetic presence that leaves a lasting impression. Welcome to the intriguing world of the Sigma male, a man who carves his own path, often unnoticed and misunderstood by society's relentless chase for power and status. Unlike the loud alpha who seeks dominance and approval, the Sigma male is defined by his quiet mastery over himself and his environment. He's not driven by external validation, but by an internal compass, one that guides him through life with calm calculation and deliberate intent. The Sigma is neither a hero nor a villain, but rather an anti-hero of the social order, a lone wolf who moves through crowds without succumbing to their rules or distractions. In today's world, where social hierarchies dominate, the Sigma refuses to play by conventional maps. His path is one of solitude, deep reflection, and razor-sharp focus. While society pressures men to conform, to fight for status, or submit to expectations, the Sigma transcends these binaries. He chooses silence over unnecessary words and strategy over rash action. This mindset is backed by psychology, as studies show that introverted leaders and independent thinkers often possess high emotional intelligence and self-awareness, enabling them to influence without overt control. But what happens when the Sigma's patience, his protective armor, wears thin? When he stops playing the social game, not out of anger or weakness, but from a place of clear-eyed control and power? That's when the real transformation begins. This journey will explore 4 dimensions of the Sigma psyche: the world he navigates, the core of his being, the inevitable clash with societal norms, and ultimately the rise of the lone wolf who wields freedom as his greatest weapon. Understanding this man means embracing silence, questioning noise, and appreciating power that thrives in detachment. When the Sigma stops playing nice, the rules change, and so does everything around him. Now go out there and be the compelling force you were always meant to be. Point 1. The Sigma male rejects the noise and refuses to play by the rules of social validation. He moves through chaos like a ghost, barely noticed yet fully aware, as if he's tuned into a frequency others can't quite grasp. This isn't mere intuition, it's a heightened perception, honed by experience and keen observation. When most people get caught up in the whirlwind of social interactions, distractions, and emotions, he sees clearly through the fog. He recognizes the subtle strings pulled behind the scenes, those invisible levers of influence that shape outcomes without anyone openly acknowledging them. These power plays are often disguised as casual small talk, polite smiles, or even offhand jokes, but to him they reveal the underlying motives of those around him. He understands that every interaction carries layers of meaning, some obvious, some hidden, where people maneuver to gain advantage or assert control. What's truly fascinating is his ability to detect the desperate thirst for approval in every glance. Human beings, at their core, seek validation. It's an ancient survival mechanism rooted in our social nature. From a psychological standpoint, this hunger for acceptance triggers micro-expressions and subtle behavioral cues that most miss. Yet he reads these signals like an open book. This skill isn't about manipulation, but about profound awareness, knowing that beneath the surface smiles lie insecurities, ambitions, or hidden agendas. This depth of perception is reminiscent of the social intelligence studied extensively in psychology, which shows how some people naturally decode social cues with astonishing accuracy, almost like walking lie detectors. In history, leaders and strategists who mastered this kind of insight often held the upper hand. Figures like Sun Tzu emphasized understanding the unseen battlefield, knowing not just the obvious but what lies beneath the surface. In modern times, this translates into emotional intelligence and social acumen, qualities that allow individuals to navigate complex social landscapes with ease. Moving like a ghost through chaos means not getting emotionally entangled or overwhelmed, but staying grounded, observing without judgment, and responding with precision. This approach makes him both enigmatic and powerful. People may wonder how he remains so calm amid turmoil, but it's his ability to see the hidden patterns, the unspoken tensions, and the subtle power struggles that gives him the edge. In a world where surface appearances often deceive, he thrives by understanding what's really going on behind the curtain. Point 2, he observes quietly but never invests in the shallow dramas that trap others. The pressure to conform, to perform, to belong, these forces act like an invisible weight pressing down on many people every day. Society often expects individuals to fit into predefined molds, to echo popular opinions, and to follow established paths. But for the Sigma male, these expectations are distractions, not directions. He operates on a different frequency, one that values observation and strategic thinking over impulsive reaction. Unlike those who rush to fill every silence with words or actions, he listens more than he speaks. This silence is not weakness or fear. It is a deliberate choice. It is the calm eye of a storm where clarity emerges. Neuroscientific studies reveal that introverted individuals, often overlapping with Sigma personality traits, process information deeply, reflecting internally before reacting. This internal processing allows the Sigma male to see the world through a lens of detached analysis, making him an observer first and a tactician second. While the world clamors for his voice, demanding conformity and loud declarations, he chooses withdrawal, not out of avoidance, but out of a desire for authenticity. His silence is a form of resistance against a culture that values noise over nuance. Withdrawal for him is not social isolation, but a conscious retreat to gather strength, to think deeply, and to act with purpose rather than compulsion. Psychologists note that this kind of withdrawal is often misunderstood. It's not loneliness, but a profound self-reliance and comfort in solitude that fuels creativity and insight. In a society driven by constant performance and validation, the Sigma male's reluctance to conform is a powerful stance. It disrupts the expectation that success is tied to visibility and popularity. Instead, he moves quietly, crafting his path away from the spotlight, often surprising others with the impact he creates when he does decide to act. His world is one of thoughtful calculation, where every move is measured, every word weighed, and every silence valued. The Sigma male reminds us that sometimes the greatest power lies not in loud declarations, but in the quiet confidence of knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. Point 3. His silence is strategic, his absence a message. When others shout, the Sigma male listens. In a world obsessed with noise and chaos, where many scramble for fleeting power and validation, he chooses a different path, one of calm observation and quiet strength. Rather than joining the fray or vying for attention, he steps aside, allowing the clamor to dissolve into the background. This detachment is often mistaken for weakness or indifference, but in reality, it is a profound discipline forged through deep self-awareness. It takes more strength to resist reacting impulsively to drama than to dive headfirst into it. Psychological studies show that individuals who practice emotional detachment in the face of stress often have better mental clarity and decision-making skills. The Sigma male embodies this principle by protecting his energy and focusing only on what truly matters. But detachment is no passive retreat. It's an active, conscious choice. When a Sigma male is done playing nice, it means the world's noise has crossed his personal boundary. He has endured the endless distractions, manipulative tactics, and betrayals that others throw his way. Unlike those who continue to exhaust themselves in battles for status or approval, the Sigma male uses silence as his weapon, a powerful tool that signals both control and disengagement. His absence becomes louder than any argument, making a statement that is impossible to ignore. In evolutionary psychology, this behavior aligns with the concept of strategic withdrawal, a tactic used to conserve resources and maintain dignity in situations where confrontation no longer yields value. Moreover, his silence invites reflection. both for himself and for those who witness it. It is in these quiet moments that he recharges, recalibrates, and prepares for what comes next. This form of emotional intelligence sets him apart from the crowd, revealing a man who is not driven by external validation, but by inner mastery. By choosing detachment over reaction, the Sigma male not only survives the chaos, but thrives in it, embodying a rare blend of strength, wisdom, and self-respect that commands attention without demanding it. Point 4. The Sigma's power is rooted in his control over engagement. He chooses when and where to show up, because power walks alone, and the Sigma is the master of walking alone. This isn't just about physical solitude, it's a profound statement about mindset and personal sovereignty. Sigma males embody the rare ability to thrive independently, carving their own path without the need for constant validation or approval from society. Beneath their calm, sometimes aloof exterior lies a fortress of logic and self-reliance, where decisions are made with clear thought rather than emotional impulse. Unlike the more socially driven alpha or beta personalities, the Sigma male's power comes from within. They operate with a quiet confidence that doesn't demand attention, but commands respect naturally. What makes the Sigma truly unique is their comfort with solitude. In a world that often equates and even higher IQ scores, Sigmas exemplify this by using alone time to reflect, strategize, and recharge, which in turn sharpens their intuition and decision-making skills. Moreover, the Sigma's fortress of logic is a mental discipline that allows them to navigate social situations with precision and calm detachment. They don't rush to conform or compete, but observe carefully before acting, often outsmarting others without overt confrontation. This strategic patience makes them unpredictable and often misunderstood, but also incredibly effective. They don't need the spotlight to shine. Their influence is felt quietly through action, not noise. Historically, many great thinkers, inventors, and leaders have exhibited Sigma traits. People like Nikola Tesla, Bruce Lee, or even Howard Hughes, figures who preferred solitude and independent thought over societal approval. Their ability to walk alone enabled them to innovate and lead revolutions in their fields. In essence, the Sigma male's power walk alone symbolizes the mastery of self-reliance, logic, and silent strength. It's a reminder that sometimes the greatest impact comes not from joining the crowd, but from standing apart, confidently and deliberately forging a path that only they can walk. Point 5. The Sigma male lives by calculated detachment. Emotions are data, not directives. He does not reject feeling, he controls feeling. This distinction is crucial and often misunderstood. Unlike those who suppress or ignore their emotions, he acknowledges every feeling as a natural part of being human, but refuses to let those feelings dictate his actions or cloud his judgment. This mastery over emotion is not about being cold or unfeeling. Rather, it's a disciplined approach to self-awareness, where emotions are observed, understood, and channeled productively. Psychological studies show that emotional regulation is a key factor in mental resilience and success. People who manage their emotions effectively tend to have better decision-making abilities, stronger relationships, and greater overall well-being. In his case, this control is not born out of denial, but from a deep respect for the power feelings hold, paired with a commitment to never be a slave to fleeting impulses. His mind is a battlefield of discipline, solitude, and purpose, a unique internal terrain where strength is forged. Discipline acts as his armor, helping him resist distractions and temptations that could derail his goals. Solitude is his ally, offering the space to reflect deeply and recharge without the noise of outside influence. Scientific research supports the benefits of solitude for creativity and problem-solving, showing that moments alone can enhance clarity and insight. Purpose, the driving force behind everything he does, acts as the compass guiding him through life's challenges. This purposeful mindset aligns with studies in psychology that link a strong sense of purpose to higher life satisfaction and greater perseverance. He crafts his identity with precision, refusing external validation to define his worth. In a world obsessed with likes, followers, and constant approval, he chooses instead to build from within. This self-constructed identity is like a finely tailored suit designed to fit his true self rather than societal expectations. This approach echoes the philosophy of Stoicism, which teaches that external events and opinions should not control one's inner peace or self-value. By anchoring his worth internally, he gains freedom freedom from anxiety, fear of rejection, and the endless chase for acceptance. His life becomes a testament to the power of intentional living, where mastery over self and emotions creates a foundation unshaken by external storms. This balance of emotional control, disciplined solitude, and self-forged purpose makes him not only resilient but also quietly unstoppable. Point 6. Self-mastery is non-negotiable. He answers only to himself. Solitude is often misunderstood as loneliness, but for a Sigma male it is far from that. It is his sanctuary, a sacred space where he retreats to recharge, reflect, and sharpen his inner world. Unlike loneliness, which carries a sense of isolation and longing for connection, solitude is chosen deliberately. It's the quiet proving ground where he tests his resolve and hones his strength away from the noise of society. This time alone is not a void to be feared, but a powerful tool for self-mastery. When his boundaries are crossed or his patience is tested, the Sigma does not explode in anger or seek confrontation. Instead, his response is marked by quiet finality. There is no need for dramatic displays or heated arguments because the Sigma understands that true power is not in loud reactions, but in controlled, decisive action. He withdraws not out of defeat, but as a strategic move to recalibrate. This withdrawal is not a retreat in fear, but a tactical reset, allowing him to regain clarity and assess the situation on his own terms. It's a deliberate pause that signals strength, not weakness. In a world obsessed with constant noise, social validation, and outward expression, the Sigma male's silence stands out as a form of fortitude in action. It communicates confidence and self-control without uttering a single word. Scientific studies on human behavior reveal that silence can be a powerful social signal, often commanding more respect than words spoken in haste. When a Sigma chooses silence, it's a statement that his energy is not to be wasted on trivial matters and that he values peace and focus above drama. This kind of resilience, quiet, intentional, and unyielding, is what sets the Sigma apart. So next time you see a man retreating into silence, remember that this is not a sign of weakness or withdrawal, but rather a profound demonstration of inner strength. It is his way of protecting his peace, preparing for what lies ahead, and showing the world that sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Point 7. The Sigma sets boundaries with surgical precision. Friends, foes, and lovers all learn respect or feel his withdrawal. The Sigma male moves through social landscapes with a rare kind of efficiency, speaking little but leaving a strong impact. Unlike the Alpha, who often asserts dominance to command attention, or the Beta, who looks for approval to find validation, the Sigma takes a more observant, strategic approach. He watches the game quietly, understanding the motives and behaviors of those around him, yet trusts only a select few. This unique perspective allows the Sigma to detect manipulation swiftly. When he senses deceit or exploitation, he doesn't waste time arguing or explaining. He simply cuts ties and walks away. This decisive action protects his inner peace and keeps distractions at bay. In a world full of noise and chaos, the Sigma intentionally ghosts all unnecessary drama, refusing to let external turbulence disturb his calm. Women often notice this composed, controlled exterior, the quiet confidence that suggests mastery over himself and the situation. Yet, what remains unseen is the careful balance he maintains to prevent inner chaos from ever bubbling to the surface. The Sigma does not allow emotional storms to take over. His calm is a result of discipline, self-awareness, and firm boundaries. Unlike many who freely hand out respect based on social status or popularity, the Sigma's respect must be earned through authenticity, integrity, and mutual understanding. It's not given lightly, and once granted, it carries significant weight. This subtle yet powerful social style sets the Sigma apart. A man who thrives outside traditional hierarchies, relying instead on his keen insight, inner strength, and the ability to quietly influence without needing to dominate or please. His minimalistic communication style, combined with maximum effect, is a testament to his self-mastery and strategic social intelligence. This blend of calm vigilance and selective engagement allows the Sigma to live life on his own terms, untouched by the chaos others create around him. Point 8. True power lies in mastery over self and environment. His legacy is silence that echoes longer than any shout. Skill mastery, mental clarity, and strategic withdrawal are the silent weapons of the Sigma male, shaping his unique approach to life and challenges. Unlike those who rush headfirst into confrontation, the Sigma disrupts the status quo not by fighting loud battles, but by outlasting opponents and situations. This method of subtle yet relentless persistence is rooted in ancient wisdom and modern psychology alike, where patience and precision often win over brute force. When the Sigma male decides he is done playing nice, he no longer wastes time negotiating with distractions or superficial drama. Instead, he channels his energy with laser focus toward creating lasting impact and building a legacy that endures beyond fleeting moments. This transformation isn't sudden chaos, but a powerful, calculated storm. Like a natural phenomenon that goes unnoticed at first, gathering strength quietly, he moves through life with an intensity that few detect until it's too late to resist. His power lies in adaptability and control, knowing when to engage and when to step back, avoiding unnecessary conflicts while always advancing toward his goals. This strategic withdrawal is not a sign of weakness, but a mark of wisdom and self-mastery. The Sigma male understands that true influence isn't about dominating the loudest space, but about reshaping the landscape itself through consistent, thoughtful actions. History is full of examples of such figures, those who changed the world not by force, but by enduring, adapting, and ultimately transforming their environment with a quiet, unstoppable force. In this way, the Sigma becomes less of a visible leader and more of an unstoppable current beneath the surface, powerful enough to alter everything in its path. When a Sigma male stops playing nice, he doesn't explode in anger or crumble under pressure. Instead, he transforms into a quiet, unstoppable force, a calm storm that reshapes his world with deliberate precision. Unlike those who seek attention through noise, the Sigma walks his path alone, grounded in silent strength and unwavering clarity. His power isn't measured by volume, but by presence, resilience, and thoughtful action. This rare combination makes him both elusive and unforgettable. To embody this mindset, stay curious, remain unseen by the crowd, stay unfazed by chaos, and leave a lasting impact without saying a word. If she says this, that exact phrase, it's the instant he knows. Not because he's afraid of conflict or because he's delicate, but because a Sigma male treats his time, energy, and life like precious currency, guarded with unwavering precision. The Sigma male is a unique figure in social dynamics, the lone wolf who moves through the world on his own terms, silent yet deeply observant, completely unshaken by the noise around him. Unlike the traditional alpha who seeks dominance or the beta who seeks approval, the Sigma exists outside the social hierarchy altogether. He doesn't chase validation or barter for attention. Instead, he values authenticity and personal sovereignty above all else. When a woman says something that crosses the line, a phrase loaded with disrespect, manipulation, or a fundamental misalignment of values, the Sigma immediately recognizes it. This moment is less about emotional reaction and more about a firm, unemotional boundary. For the Sigma, respect isn't negotiable, integrity isn't optional. His refusal to settle for less than genuine alignment with another person is a core part of his identity. In fact, psychology supports this. Individuals with a strong internal locus of control like the Sigma prioritize self-respect and consistency over social acceptance or fleeting emotions. This is why the Sigma walks away without drama or argument. He knows that investing time in toxicity or misalignment only depletes his precious resources. It's a silent but powerful statement, valuing himself enough to refuse anything that diminishes his spirit. For those watching from the outside, this moment might seem abrupt, but it's deeply intentional. Understanding this can be a mirror for anyone. When do you draw your own lines? How do you protect your peace and energy? The Sigma's code isn't about isolation, it's about clarity, strength, and living in true alignment with oneself. So sit with the silence, observe closely, and let the wisdom behind this quiet but resolute walk-away teach you about the power of self-respect. Number one, when she says, "I need you to change," a Sigma male senses the erosion of his self, an invisible but deeply felt chipping away at his core identity. Alarm bells go off inside him. This erosion often begins subtly, triggered by external demands for change that don't come with a corresponding invitation to mutual growth. In other words, when the world or the people around him insist he must change, but they themselves aren't willing to evolve alongside him, the Sigma immediately detects a misalignment. This is because the Sigma male's foundation is built on autonomy, self-reliance, and integrity. Unlike the typical social archetypes who might bend or conform for the sake of acceptance or to fit into predefined roles, the Sigma stands firm in his personal truth. The demand for change without mutual growth feels to him like an attempt to dilute or dismantle what makes him unique, a violation of the sacred contract he has with himself to remain authentic and self-directed. Psychologically, this resonates with the Sigma's intrinsic need for balance between internal stability and external adaptability. He is not closed off to transformation. In fact, he embraces growth intensely. But it must come from a place of reciprocal respect. Evolution for a Sigma is a dance, not a one-sided command. This makes him highly sensitive to environments or relationships where the only expectation is for him to adjust, to soften, or to compromise without seeing the same effort reciprocated. When he hears the erosion of self, it's like a warning siren announcing that something vital is at risk: his freedom, his principles, or his emotional equilibrium. Studies on personality traits related to autonomy and self-determination back this up, showing that people who highly value independence react negatively to pressure that threatens their sense of control or authenticity. In a social context, this dynamic often causes the Sigma to withdraw, sometimes abruptly, from relationships or situations where he perceives this imbalance. His exit is not about rebellion or spite. It's a protective measure, preserving his sense of self-worth and ensuring that any change he undergoes is meaningful and aligned with his own values. This refusal to accept unilateral demands also explains why Sigma males often appear mysterious or aloof. They are guardians of their inner world, unwilling to surrender it lightly. Understanding this helps explain why Sigma males thrive best in environments that promote mutual respect, continuous personal development, and authentic connection rather than superficial conformity. Number 2, when a woman says, "Why don't you tell me everything?" the Sigma male instinctively understands that his privacy is being challenged in a way that crosses a sacred boundary. To him, privacy isn't just a preference, it's a fundamental principle, a fortress protecting the core of his identity. Unlike many who feel the need to share every thought or feeling, the Sigma knows that not every wall in his mind is meant to be torn down. This isn't about secrecy for secrecy's sake, but about preserving his inner peace and autonomy. In a world flooded with oversharing and constant noise, the Sigma male chooses clarity over chaos. He observes how many people chase after fleeting highs, whether it's drama, social approval, or the latest trend, often sacrificing their authenticity for temporary validation. He recognizes the heavy toll this takes: confusion, distraction, and loss of self. The Sigma values honesty deeply, but not the kind that demands full exposure. He values it in the form of genuine, respectful interaction. He respects those who carry themselves with quiet strength, who don't need to brandish words as weapons or hide behind them as shields. This is why certain phrases, when spoken with undertones of manipulation, entitlement, or disrespect, immediately set off alarm bells in his mind. They cut through the ambient noise and become a sharp, unmistakable signal. This is not for me. This is not just about communication style, it's about respecting boundaries and honoring the individuality that the Sigma fiercely protects. To him, trust isn't given lightly and certainly not on demand. It is earned over time through consistent respect and understanding. When someone tries to push him into revealing more than he's comfortable with, it's a sign that they may not truly appreciate his nature or values. And because the Sigma male operates on a code of self-respect and independence, he doesn't hesitate to walk away when that line is crossed. He's not afraid of solitude or silence because, for him, those are spaces where clarity and true strength grow. In essence, that simple question, "Why don't you tell me everything?" can mark the moment the Sigma realizes the connection lacks the respect and depth he requires, prompting him to protect his fortress and move on. Number 3. When a woman says, "You don't care about me," the Sigma male instantly recognizes that this statement often stems from projection and emotional manipulation rather than an objective truth. The Sigma male, known for his emotional intelligence and self-reliance, understands that words alone, especially charged accusations, can be used to provoke guilt or control behavior. Instead of getting defensive or trying to argue, he looks beyond the emotional surface. He knows that genuine care is demonstrated through consistent actions and tangible behaviors, not just words or complaints. This mindset aligns with the broader psychological principle that actions speak louder than words, a concept supported by numerous studies in behavioral psychology. People who truly care show it by listening attentively, offering support, and investing time and effort, qualities the Sigma male himself embodies. Because he values authenticity and integrity, the Sigma male resists being swayed by emotional theatrics or vague claims. He is typically calm, composed, and grounded, which means he doesn't react impulsively to emotional outbursts. Instead, he observes and evaluates the situation with logic and discernment. This ability is part of what sets Sigma males apart. They operate independently of social pressures and emotional manipulation, relying on their own internal compass rather than external validation. Moreover, the Sigma male's detachment doesn't mean he lacks empathy. On the contrary, he understands emotions deeply but doesn't allow them to dictate his decisions. He recognizes that when someone accuses him of not caring, it might be a reflection of their own insecurities or unmet needs rather than an accurate assessment of his feelings or intentions. In this way, the Sigma male maintains healthy emotional boundaries, ensuring he does not get pulled into unnecessary conflict or drama. Instead, he prefers to address any concerns through honest communication and measurable behavior. This approach is both practical and mature, avoiding the traps of manipulation while still honoring the importance of emotional connection. Ultimately, when faced with the phrase, "You don't care about me," the Sigma male's response is shaped by a deep understanding of human psychology, a commitment to authenticity, and an unwavering belief that love and care are best expressed through meaningful action rather than hollow words. Number 4, when a woman says, "I can't do this alone," a Sigma male hears more than just a plea for help. He recognizes the underlying vulnerability and strength wrapped together in those words. To him, independence isn't just a trait, it's a sacred value that defines how he navigates life and relationships. While he deeply respects strength and emotional honesty, he also refuses to become a crutch for someone else's challenges. For the Sigma, both partners standing on their own 2 feet is essential. Interdependence is a dance where both contribute equally, not a one-sided burden where one leans too heavily on the other. This mindset is rooted in a profound understanding of personal boundaries and self-respect. The Sigma male is fiercely protective of his time and energy, which he sees as precious resources not to be wasted on anything that drains or diminishes him. This isn't about coldness or detachment, it's about wisdom gained from experience. Knowing that when trust is fractured or manipulation surfaces, the entire foundation of connection becomes unstable and ultimately unsustainable. Unlike others who might cling or overcommit in the face of emotional need, the Sigma remains grounded in his core principles. Consistency is paramount for him, not only in his own actions, but also in those he allows into his inner world. He doesn't just listen to words, he watches behaviors and reads between the lines, discerning sincerity from facade. This quiet vigilance means he rarely acts impulsively. Instead, he weighs the dynamics carefully before deciding his next move. When the balance is off or the energy is no longer aligned, the Sigma doesn't hesitate. He moves on without drama or explanation because his commitment to himself and his standards outweighs the pressure to stay. This approach often mystifies others who expect emotional dependence or constant reassurance. But for the Sigma, it's a reflection of strength, emotional intelligence, and self-mastery. In a world where many struggle with codependency and blurred boundaries, the Sigma male's respect for mutual independence and unwavering consistency sets him apart as a figure who values freedom and authenticity above all else. Number 5. When a woman says, "You owe me," a Sigma male immediately senses that a boundary has been crossed, triggering an internal red flag that warns him something deeper is amiss. Unlike conventional social dynamics that often encourage transactional exchanges, where favors, time, or emotions become tokens in an invisible ledger, a Sigma male views this concept of owing as a subtle but dangerous trap. Relationships thrive on mutual respect, freedom, and genuine connection, not on scores being kept or debts being tallied. The idea of owing someone, especially in an emotional or relational context, transforms what should be a bond into a burden. This transactional mindset breeds resentment and imbalance, turning love or friendship into an obligation rather than a choice. Psychologically, the language of "you owe me" implies control and entitlement, which clashes with the Sigma male's core values of independence and self-mastery. He's naturally wired to avoid environments where freedom is restricted or where expectations are imposed. This doesn't mean he rejects commitment or loyalty, in fact, quite the opposite. But his commitment is rooted in authenticity, not indebtedness. In relationships, the notion of debt can morph into emotional manipulation, whether intended or not. When someone says, "You owe me," it often carries an unspoken demand for repayment, whether through time, attention, or favors. This places the other person in a position where they might feel pressured, guilty, or obligated, which stifles genuine expression and growth. Neuroscience tells us that feelings of obligation and guilt activate stress responses in the brain, releasing cortisol and increasing tension, hardly the foundation for healthy, lasting connections. The Sigma male intuitively recognizes this and pulls away to preserve his autonomy and peace of mind. Moreover, the Sigma's detachment from social norms means he's highly aware of power dynamics in relationships. He understands that when someone talks about owing, it's less about gratitude and more about control, a way to tip the balance of power in their favor. For a Sigma male who values self-reliance and subtle influence over overt control, this dynamic is toxic. He prefers relationships based on equality, mutual respect, and unspoken understanding, not on ledgers of favors or emotional IOUs. In essence, when a woman says, "You owe me," the Sigma male doesn't just hear words. He sees a signal that the relationship is heading into unhealthy territory, prompting him to protect his boundaries and walk away if necessary. Number 6. When she says, "I told you so," the Sigma male doesn't see victory or wisdom. Instead, he recognizes a moment of immaturity and spite. Unlike those caught up in ego battles or power struggles, the Sigma understands the social dynamics at play. The dominant alphas asserting control, the loyal betas seeking approval, and the manipulators weaving their webs. But the Sigma operates on a different level altogether. He refuses to be a piece in this game, choosing instead to step off the board entirely. This detachment isn't about arrogance, it's about preserving inner peace and clarity. Respect to the Sigma is a two-way street. When it becomes unbalanced or disrespected, he doesn't waste energy trying to fix it or prove a point. Instead, he recalibrates by walking away, a move that requires both strength and wisdom. This act of setting boundaries isn't a retreat. It's a powerful declaration of self-worth and independence. The Sigma does not chase after validation, nor does he bend his values to appease others. His power lies in his unwavering commitment to himself, even if it means standing alone. Walking away may look like solitude, but for the Sigma, it is freedom. Freedom from toxic conflict, freedom from needless drama, and freedom to remain unbroken, no matter the circumstances. In a world obsessed with hierarchy and dominance, the Sigma's quiet sovereignty is a lesson in strength through self-possession. Number 7. When a woman tells a Sigma male, "You're too distant," it often triggers a misunderstanding rooted in different emotional languages. Unlike many, the Sigma male views distance not as a barrier or rejection, but as a deliberate form of protection, an essential boundary that preserves his autonomy and inner peace. This is not about pushing people away or shutting down emotions, but about maintaining a sacred personal space where clarity and calm thrive. Psychologically, Sigma males are known for their introverted and independent nature. They don't crave constant social interaction or emotional validation like others might. Instead, they value solitude because it recharges their mental and emotional batteries, allowing them to think deeply and act deliberately. This distancing is a shield, not a wall, designed to keep negativity, unnecessary drama, and emotional exhaustion at bay. Historically and culturally, this behavior aligns with the archetype of the lone wolf or the stoic thinker, who deliberately chooses solitude to cultivate wisdom and strength. Ancient philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and modern thinkers alike emphasize the importance of self-control and measured detachment as pathways to personal mastery. For a Sigma male, emotional distance is a tool for self-preservation rather than a statement of indifference. When he says little or seems distant, it's because he is carefully observing, analyzing, and processing rather than disengaging from life or relationships. This can confuse partners who interpret distance as coldness or lack of care, but for the Sigma, It is quite the opposite, an essential part of his emotional architecture. In relationships, this protective distance demands respect and understanding. It's a signal that the Sigma male requires space to remain authentic and grounded. Pressuring him to open up on someone else's timetable or for the sake of reassurance can backfire, making him retreat further. Instead, recognizing this boundary as a form of strength encourages healthier dynamics where both parties honor individual needs. Educating others about this subtle but powerful aspect of Sigma psychology helps dismantle the common misconception that distance equals disinterest. In truth, it is a sophisticated balancing act, one that allows Sigma males to stay true to themselves while engaging meaningfully on their own terms. Embracing this difference can transform frustration into respect and distance into a foundation for genuine connection. Number 8. When she says, "You don't love me like I love you," the Sigma male hears more than just words. He recognizes a fundamental misunderstanding about love itself. To him, love is not a scoreboard of feelings measured and compared, nor is it a demand for proof on someone else's timeline. Love is action, consistent and self-driven, not a transaction to be balanced. The idea of an unequal exchange, where one gives endlessly and the other only takes, is like poison that slowly corrodes the soul. The Sigma male's code is built on self-respect and emotional independence. He values authentic connection but refuses to be tethered to neediness or emotional manipulation. When this statement pierces through his calm exterior, it doesn't trigger anger or defensiveness. Instead, it activates a deep, quiet strength within him. He understands that trying to prove love to someone who measures it by words alone is futile. For the Sigma, love is demonstrated through integrity, respect, and consistent effort, things that cannot be forced or demanded. When those words break his code, he doesn't lash out. He rises above the chaos, choosing to preserve his own energy and peace rather than get caught in a cycle of emotional imbalance. Walking away, then, is not a sign of weakness or loss. It is an act of reclaiming power, a refusal to settle for anything less than a genuine partnership where love flows naturally and reciprocally. The Sigma knows that staying in a relationship weighed down by unequal expectations erodes both dignity and happiness. Instead of clinging to what is not working, he chooses freedom, a freedom rooted in self-awareness and respect for himself. This choice may be quiet, but it is profound. It is the ultimate expression of strength, the courage to leave behind toxicity and make space for authentic love on terms that honor both individuals. In this way, the Sigma male transforms what might seem like loss into a powerful act of self-preservation and growth. This is the Sigma's code: silent, steady, unyielding. When a woman says certain words or reveals specific behaviors, the Sigma male doesn't react out of pride or anger. He walks away with precision. This isn't about ego, it's about self-respect and knowing his worth. Sigma males live by their own rules, forging a path uniquely their own, unbound by social expectations. They understand that true power often means walking alone, quietly but confidently. Their strength lies in being curious observers, staying unseen in the background, unfazed by drama, yet leaving a lasting, unforgettable impression. When the blade comes, he does not flinch. When the door closes, he does not chase. When the truth hits, he does not argue, he simply disappears. Most men respond to emotional pain with noise, raised voices, pleading words, or frantic explanations. The Sigma male, however, is wired differently. His silence is not weakness. It is a deliberate calculation. When a woman wounds him, whether through betrayal, disrespect, or manipulation, he does not bleed out for the world to see. Instead, he leaves quietly, often without a trace, like a shadow retreating from the light. This detachment is not born from coldness, but from mastery of self-control. In a society that equates loud reactions with authenticity, the Sigma male plays an entirely different game. He rejects the social theater that demands drama to validate pain. While others perform their heartbreak for sympathy or closure, he becomes the observer, absorbing, processing, and choosing his next step with surgical precision. Psychologists note that this level of emotional restraint often stems from high self-awareness and an internal locus of control. The belief that one's life is shaped by inner discipline rather than external chaos. When hurt, the Sigma enters a strategic pause. It's the kind of stillness that unsettles people because it's not passive, it's loaded. It is the calm before a permanent withdrawal, the quiet of a man who understands that the truest form of power is in control, not display. Unlike the average man who might need validation or reconciliation, the Sigma needs neither. His decisions are final, made in silence with the same precision as a sniper's trigger pull. He recalibrates his life without fanfare, often erasing the offending person from his world entirely. To outsiders, it may look like he vanished. To him, it is simply moving on without leaving emotional fingerprints. This response is rooted in his worldview, one where dignity outweighs revenge, where emotional independence shields him from manipulation, and where his presence is a privilege, never a guarantee. In the Sigma's world, when trust is broken, the story doesn't end with an argument, it ends with absence. And that absence, more than any words, delivers the message. Number 1, he withdraws without warning. There's no farewell speech, no explanation. The Sigma removes himself from her world like a shadow fading at dawn. And this is not just a matter of personality, it's a strategy rooted in self-preservation and psychological strength. In human social dynamics, particularly in relationships, the one who controls the narrative often holds the emotional upper hand. By leaving without drama or prolonged confrontation, the Sigma refuses to hand over the script of his life for someone else to edit. Psychologists call this withdrawing reinforcement, where removing your presence and energy from someone who mistreats you disrupts their ability to continue influencing you emotionally. The Sigma understands that in the aftermath of hurt, words often complicate rather than clarify, and emotional outbursts can be weaponized against you. So he opts for silence, not as a passive act, but as a decisive move to preserve dignity. This approach also taps into a deeper behavioral truth. Absence creates a psychological vacuum. Studies on attachment theory suggest that sudden withdrawal can trigger a re-evaluation in the mind of the other person, sometimes leading them to confront their own behavior more effectively than any argument would. But the Sigma isn't doing this to spark regret in her. His aim is self-liberation. Like a soldier retreating from a lost battlefield to preserve his strength for the next mission, he conserves his emotional resources for people and pursuits that matter. By disappearing quietly, he robs her of the satisfaction of seeing him wounded or desperate. It's a move that aligns with the predator's mindset in nature. When an animal is injured, it retreats into the shadows to heal, avoiding predators that prey on weakness. In the modern social jungle, emotional predators are just as real, and the Sigma refuses to give them a feeding ground. This detachment is not cold-heartedness. It is emotional intelligence in action, a refusal to let temporary pain become a permanent prison. While others may linger in toxic cycles, hoping for closure or vindication, the Sigma writes his own closure by simply walking away and never looking back. In doing so, he transforms the end of one chapter into the unshackled beginning of another, proving that sometimes the loudest statement you can make is complete, unshakable silence. Number 2, he processes in solitude. Pain is a private thing, and for a man with a Sigma mindset, it's something he processes behind closed doors, away from the noise and unsolicited advice of the world. When he's hurt, he doesn't rush to social media for sympathy or gather a crowd to validate his feelings. Instead, he retreats into solitude, not to wallow, but to think with surgical precision. His time alone is not about replaying the wound on a loop like a sad movie. It's about dissecting the moment with the objectivity of a scientist studying an anomaly. Psychology calls this cognitive appraisal, a process where we break down events to understand their cause, meaning, and personal impact. The Sigma male uses this mental tool to pinpoint where the breach occurred. Was it a misjudgment of character, a failure to set boundaries, or simply an unavoidable clash of human flaws? He's not afraid to be brutally honest with himself, because self-deception would only plant seeds for the same pain to grow again. And here's where the quiet brilliance of his approach shines. He searches for the lesson beneath the hurt. This is more than cliché self-help. It's a survival mechanism rooted in emotional intelligence, which research shows is a key factor in resilience and long-term success. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" he reframes it to, "What is this trying to teach me?" It could be a reminder to trust his instincts more, to slow down before giving trust, or to recognize when someone's words and actions don't align. By internalizing the lesson, he transforms pain from a parasite into a teacher, ensuring it leaves behind wisdom instead of scars. In this way, the Sigma male treats emotional wounds the same way a master craftsman handles broken tools. He studies the damage, repairs what's fixable, and learns how to prevent the same break again. And when he emerges from that period of quiet analysis, it's with a deeper sense of clarity and a sharper instinct for the road ahead. His silence during pain is not weakness. It's a strategic recalibration, the kind that ensures when he walks back into the world, he does so stronger, smarter, and more immune to making the same mistake twice. Number 3, he strips away emotional attachment. The moment trust is broken, the Sigma cuts the emotional cord. He doesn't cling to what could have been. He accepts reality for what it is. That choice is less an act of spite and more an exercise in emotional triage. When a relationship's foundation cracks, the Sigma assesses the structural damage quickly, removes himself from the immediate hazard, and redirects his energy toward repair and growth rather than rumination. This behavior is grounded in recognizable psychological principles: emotional regulation, boundary setting, and a low tolerance for toxic patterns, and it gets results because it prevents prolonged exposure to stressors that erode well-being. Cutting the cord doesn't mean obliterating memory or pretending nothing happened. It means changing who gets priority access to your inner life. Imagine your emotional life as a finely tuned instrument. If a string snaps, a craftsman either replaces it or retunes the instrument so it still produces music. But he doesn't sit and stroke the broken string hoping it will heal itself. Practically, a Sigma will name the boundary, "I won't tolerate deceit," state a consequence calmly, and follow through, which aligns with research showing that consistent boundaries reduce anxiety and foster healthier interactions over time. There's a social intelligence to this too. The Sigma anticipates relational contagion, the way one person's instability can spread and affect performance, creativity, and mood in subtle ways. By acting decisively, he preserves his capacity for work, thought, and connection with people who demonstrate reliability. It's also worth noting the neurochemical angle. Trust builds through repeated, predictable behavior and is reinforced by neurochemicals like oxytocin. When consistency stops, those biochemical rewards decline and the brain naturally withdraws. The Sigma listens to that withdrawal instead of trying to forcibly recreate feelings that are gone. Entertainingly, this doesn't make him unbeatable or unbreakable. He still feels disappointment and grief, but his method is efficient and dignified, like a high-level chess player sacrificing a piece to avoid a checkmate later. The lesson for anyone watching is useful. Cutting an emotional cord can be a skill, not a failure. Practice naming the breach, stating your limit, and reallocating your attention to people and projects that repay trust. Over time, you'll find that doing so increases resilience, sharpens discernment, and leaves room for relationships that are actually worth keeping. Number 4, he redirects energy into self-improvement. Every hurt becomes fuel for the Sigma male, but not in the bitter, vengeful sense most people imagine. He understands a timeless truth backed by psychology. Pain, when redirected, can become a catalyst for extraordinary transformation. Studies in neuroplasticity show that the human brain rewires itself in response to new experiences and challenges, and emotional pain, when met with intention, can spark profound personal growth. Instead of wasting time chasing what's broken or begging for what's gone, he diverts all that emotional energy into building himself up. He starts honing skills that expand his value in the marketplace, cultivating the discipline to follow through on commitments, and strengthening his body through consistent training and nutrition. In doing so, he engages in a process not unlike the forging of steel. High heat and intense pressure turn him into something far stronger than before. History offers countless parallels. Great leaders, inventors, and athletes have often emerged from moments of personal loss or rejection, channeling that sting into relentless pursuit of mastery. The Sigma male treats his setbacks as tuition for the school of life, knowing that while he can't always control what happens, he can absolutely control how he responds. Financially, he might redirect what he once spent on distractions into investments, savings, or ventures that bring him closer to independence. Emotionally, he builds a fortress of self-reliance, not to shut the world out, but to ensure his happiness no longer depends on someone else's validation. In fitness and health, he understands that strength isn't just about looking good, it's about having the stamina, resilience, and mental clarity to handle whatever life throws at him. Every wound becomes a reminder not of weakness, but of the capacity to adapt and thrive. Over time, the people who doubted him begin to see the transformation, but by then, their opinions no longer matter. He's already on a higher plane, operating with a sharper mind, a stronger body, and a more unshakable spirit. He has turned the wound into a weapon, not to attack others, but to carve out a future so solid that nothing fragile or fleeting can topple it again. That is the silent power of the Sigma male. He doesn't just survive the hurt, he alchemizes it into unstoppable momentum. Number 5, he maintains absolute composure. No matter what she says or does afterwards, she will never see him lose control. Silence becomes his armor. For the Sigma male, this isn't about being cold or unfeeling, it's about discipline. Psychologists often note that people who master emotional regulation gain an edge in both personal and professional relationships. This is because in moments of conflict, the human brain's amygdala is wired to react impulsively, flooding the body with adrenaline and cortisol, which can cloud judgment. The Sigma male refuses to let biology dictate his dignity. Instead of responding with raised voices or emotional outbursts, he draws upon the ancient principle of Stoicism, a philosophy embraced by great thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, who believed that the key to power lies in mastering oneself. His silence is not passive, it is an active strategy. It denies the other person the satisfaction of provoking him, while giving him time to process, think, and choose the most effective response. In modern behavioral science, this is called a tactical pause, a moment deliberately taken to regain clarity before action. By saying nothing, he controls the tempo of the interaction, forcing the other person to wrestle with their own words in the echo chamber of his stillness. This kind of control also shifts the power dynamic. The one who reacts least is often perceived as the one in charge. It's not that he lacks the words, he simply refuses to waste them in a moment when they would lose their value. His silence communicates volumes, that he is unshaken, self-reliant, and immune to manipulation. In fact, research shows that silence in tense exchanges can disarm aggressors more effectively than confrontation because it removes the emotional fuel they're trying to ignite. Over time, this becomes a reputation. People know he cannot be baited, bought, or broken by provocation. And in a world that thrives on instant reactions, the Sigma male's refusal to be rushed makes him an anomaly. He becomes unpredictable, and unpredictability is a form of quiet power. This doesn't mean he avoids all confrontation. When it's time to speak, his words cut with surgical precision because they are rare, considered, and impossible to ignore. Until then, his silence stands as an invisible shield, a statement of strength without ever having to raise his voice. In that stillness, he not only preserves his own peace, but also commands the kind of respect that no argument could ever win. Number 6, he removes access completely, blocked, deleted, erased. For a Sigma male, these aren't just dramatic reactions, they're decisive, calculated moves. He sees access to him not as an open-door policy, but as a carefully granted privilege, something earned over time and guarded with quiet intensity. When someone abuses that privilege, whether through betrayal, manipulation, or consistent disrespect, he doesn't rage, negotiate, or plead for understanding. Instead, he makes a final, often silent decision to remove that person from his life completely. This isn't impulsive. Psychology calls it emotional detachment, a protective mechanism that shields his mental well-being and preserves his energy for those who truly value it. Studies in behavioral psychology suggest that people with strong self-respect and clear personal boundaries are less likely to tolerate repeated toxic behavior. The Sigma male embodies this principle almost instinctively. In his world, burning bridges isn't about bitterness, it's about preserving peace. Once the door closes, there's no secret latch or maybe someday clause, it's locked permanently. To outsiders, this might seem cold or unforgiving, but it's actually a deeply rational approach rooted in the understanding that time is finite and emotional resources are limited. Allowing someone back in after repeated harm is to him like leaving a vault open after a robbery. It's an invitation for history to repeat itself. His value system runs on reciprocity, loyalty for loyalty, respect for respect. Violate that, and you've essentially terminated your membership in his life without the possibility of renewal. He doesn't send long messages explaining why. In fact, he often leaves without much explanation at all, trusting that the consequences of the other person's actions are self-evident. Sociologists note that this boundary enforcement is a sign of high self-efficacy, the belief that one can control their environment by choosing who gets to influence it. For the Sigma, it's not about revenge, it's about reclaiming control over his life's emotional landscape. And because his circle is already small, losing a spot in it is not just a minor inconvenience. It's the equivalent of being written out of a rare, exclusive book where the author doesn't do reprints. Once your chapter ends, it ends permanently. And if you ever find yourself wondering why you can't get back in, the truth is simple. You didn't just lose him, you lost access to a world you may never encounter again. I can also give you an even sharper, more cinematic version of this, so it reads like a movie scene rather than just a paragraph. That would make it even more gripping. Number 7. He learns her patterns. A Sigma male's response to betrayal isn't driven by revenge, it's driven by evolution. When someone wrongs him, he doesn't waste time plotting payback. Instead, he treats the experience like a data-gathering mission. He studies the situation, dissects the person's behavior, and locks every detail into memory like a mental case file. This isn't paranoia. It's pattern recognition. Psychologists call it schema development, where the brain creates mental templates to spot danger faster next time. A Sigma uses this to sharpen his instincts, making it almost impossible for the same manipulation to work twice. While others might get caught in emotional whirlwinds, he steps back, observes, and asks, "What did I miss before this happened?" This reflective mindset is why Sigmas often seem like human lie detectors. They're not magically gifted, they're just relentlessly analytical. Over time, these lessons form an invisible radar, warning him of subtle shifts in tone, body language, or intentions that most people overlook. For him, every betrayal becomes a free masterclass in human behavior. The irony, those who try to exploit him end up becoming unwilling teachers, because once a Sigma learns the lesson, the door to his trust locks permanently, and he never needs to open it again. Number 8, he repositions his social circle. If she was part of a larger network, friends, colleagues, social circles, the Sigma male won't storm in making accusations or burning bridges. Instead, he'll approach the situation like a skilled chess player who sees 3 moves ahead. Social dynamics are delicate ecosystems, and research in social psychology shows that conflicts within interconnected groups often ripple outward, affecting reputations and future opportunities. The Sigma understands this well, so he quietly recalibrates his relationships. He may reduce his presence in shared events, subtly shift his alliances, or engage with mutual contacts in a more measured way, all without broadcasting his intentions. This isn't avoidance out of fear, it's strategy born from emotional intelligence. By removing himself from potential drama, he preserves his energy for pursuits that matter and keeps his image untarnished. History offers countless examples of influential figures who thrived by choosing discretion over public confrontation, knowing when silence speaks louder than words. The Sigma male embodies that same principle, moving on without leaving emotional or social wreckage behind. In doing so, he not only safeguards his peace, but also strengthens his long-term position in any network, proving that true power lies in control, not chaos. Every loss to a Sigma male is not a wound, but a workshop. He views himself as the sculptor and life as the raw marble, with every betrayal serving as the chisel that removes excess stone to reveal a more defined, resilient self. Psychology backs this up. Post-traumatic growth is a real phenomenon where individuals become stronger after adversity. When a woman hurts him, she unknowingly fuels his evolution, sharpening his emotional intelligence, refining his strategies, and deepening his spiritual resilience. This process makes him more self-reliant and less accessible to those who don't value his worth. He understands a timeless truth. The world won't change. Betrayal, deception, and manipulation will always exist. Yet his power lies in mastering his response. The man who can walk away without bitterness isn't just surviving, he's winning. In a society obsessed with reaction, his greatest weapon is being unreadable, unshaken, and unforgettable. He's not trying to be watched, but somehow everyone is watching. That's the paradox of the Sigma male. He doesn't enter the room like a performer hitting a stage. He moves through space as if it bends slightly around him, forming a quiet current of intrigue. While other personalities might chase applause or affirmation, the Sigma operates on a different frequency, one of independence, mystery, and intention. He doesn't play the social game because he's not wired to need validation. Yet, ironically, it's this very detachment that draws people in, especially women. While he thinks he's slipping under the radar, his silence speaks volumes. The flicker of restraint in his expression, the deliberate pause before he speaks, the way his gaze assesses rather than seeks approval, these subtleties don't go unnoticed. Women are particularly attuned to body language and unspoken energy. According to psychological studies, over 90% of communication is nonverbal, and the Sigma male, in his quiet complexity, becomes an open book to those who know how to read between the lines. Women pick up on the way he carries himself, not with cockiness, but with control. His absence of neediness, his tendency to prioritize self-respect over social approval, and his ability to detach emotionally when necessary, all of it makes him unpredictable, and unpredictability is magnetic. But this video isn't here to inflate his ego, it's here to decode the enigma, to step inside the mind of the man who doesn't speak often, but says everything with presence. We're not here to glorify. We're here to understand the fascinating psychological cues that Sigma males give off without even realizing it. And more importantly, how women, especially the intuitive ones, pick up on every detail. Because sometimes the most powerful signals are the ones never broadcast. Welcome to the silent radar zone. Let's break down the 12 things Sigma males have no idea women are noticing, starting with the one that changes everything. Number 1. His refusal to chase validation. In a world where men often compete like gladiators for female validation, the Sigma male's indifference is deafening. While others chase compliments and seek approval like currency, the Sigma remains unmoved, an enigma that refuses to be defined by anyone else's opinions. This quiet detachment isn't rooted in arrogance, but in self-mastery. Psychologically, humans are wired for social approval. Studies show the brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical, when we receive praise. But Sigma males have trained themselves to detach from that rush. They don't let their self-worth rise and fall with someone else's flattery. When a woman compliments him, he doesn't glow or show off. He may acknowledge it politely or sometimes not at all. That subtle disinterest, it speaks volumes. It tells her that he's not starved for attention, that he values authenticity over superficial praise. And in a world where social media trains people to chase likes and hearts, that kind of restraint is magnetic. Women notice it deeply. It disrupts their expectations. Most men try to impress, to please, to be noticed. But the Sigma already knows his value and doesn't need to advertise it. His silence is louder than words, his stillness more confident than bravado. He's not playing hard to get. He's hard to get because his sense of self doesn't depend on being wanted. This rejection of the usual social game rewires the dynamic entirely. Women, biologically attuned to cues of strength, confidence, and mystery, are naturally drawn in by his composure. It's not a game, it's not manipulation. It's the rare presence of a man who doesn't need validation to feel alive. And that, especially in today's world, makes him unforgettable. Number 2, his ability to disappear, not in weakness, but in control. That's the paradox of the Sigma male. While the world often confuses solitude with loneliness and silence with insecurity, the Sigma operates on a completely different frequency. He doesn't withdraw because he's wounded. He retreats because he's complete. When others desperately cling to social validation, trying to squeeze every last drop of approval from a room, the Sigma simply disappears. No drama, no announcement, just absence. His vanishing act is not a cry for attention, it's a signal of strength. Psychologically speaking, this behavior reflects a high level of emotional independence, often associated with strong internal self-regulation. He's not there to play status games or cater to expectations. He's there on his own terms. And when those terms are no longer met, he fades. That detachment, it becomes his secret weapon. Studies in social dynamics reveal that unpredictability increases intrigue, and mystery by nature triggers curiosity. Humans are hardwired to notice what they can't explain. The Sigma's vanishing presence creates a vacuum that others subconsciously want to fill. Or, where did he go? What's on his mind? These questions linger, giving the Sigma a psychological edge without even speaking a word. And this isn't manipulation, it's magnetism, a power that stems not from control over others, but from mastery over oneself. His absence speaks louder than most people's presence. In a world addicted to noise, he chooses silence. In a culture obsessed with being seen, he is perfectly fine with being a shadow. But make no mistake, his shadow carries weight. He may leave quietly, but he leaves an impression that echoes far louder than the applause chasing the crowd. This is why the Sigma male doesn't just walk away. He vanishes in a way that makes everyone realize how loud the room feels without him. Number 3, his discomfort with shallow interaction. He doesn't do small talk, he doesn't fake laughs, and that alone speaks volumes. While most people feel a constant urge to fill the air with chatter, jokes, or surface-level pleasantries, the Sigma male remains silent unless there's something worth saying. It's not that he's shy or antisocial, it's that his mind operates differently. Research in psychology shows that introverted or introspective individuals often process their thoughts deeply before speaking. Sigma males fit this profile perfectly. Women notice this about him almost immediately. His quiet confidence isn't off-putting, it's magnetic. It signals that he isn't performing for anyone's approval. And when he does choose to speak, it carries weight. His words aren't random, they're filtered through a mind that has already stripped away the unnecessary noise. His silence becomes a form of power, a filter that weeds out distractions, fluff, and superficiality. In a world obsessed with fast talk and constant noise, this restraint makes him stand out. It sends a clear message. He values meaning over volume. He doesn't laugh at things that aren't funny just to fit in, and he doesn't nod along to avoid confrontation. This authenticity is rare, and women pick up on it instinctively. It makes them listen more intently, lean in a little closer, and wonder what's going on beneath the calm surface. Studies even suggest that people who speak less but with more intention are perceived as more intelligent and trustworthy. His silence isn't a void, it's a signal, a quiet assertion of self-worth. It forces others to pause, pay attention, and treat his presence as something not to be taken lightly. In that silence, there's substance. And to a discerning woman, that's more attractive than any rehearsed pickup line or empty compliment could ever be. Number 4, his unshakable self-containment. He doesn't project insecurity. There's no need for humble bragging, no nervous laughter, and absolutely no veiled attempts to impress. Unlike many men who crave external validation, he doesn't drop achievements into conversations like breadcrumbs for admiration. Instead, he carries a quiet confidence, a kind of internal stillness that radiates strength without effort. This is the Sigma male's power, his detachment from societal expectations and his deep-rooted sense of self. Psychologists refer to this trait as a state where a person feels worthy and self-assured without constantly seeking reassurance from others. This emotional autonomy makes him magnetic. Women in particular sense this calm. It's not just that he's comfortable being alone, it's that he thrives in solitude. His presence doesn't beg to be noticed. It commands attention precisely because it's so centered and grounded. This is a man who doesn't flinch in silence, who doesn't try to fill awkward gaps with fluff, and who isn't waiting for approval to feel whole. He's already enough. In a world of overcompensation, this quiet composure is revolutionary. Neuroscience tells us that emotional regulation and reduced anxiety often manifest in slow, steady speech, relaxed body language, and unwavering eye contact, all traits this man naturally exhibits. And women? They pick up on these subtle cues. They feel the difference between confidence and performance. While others try to be seen, he simply is. That stillness becomes an anchor in chaotic spaces, a reminder that real masculinity doesn't need to shout, it only needs to be. It's not mystery for the sake of manipulation. It's depth earned through self-awareness, experience, and a refusal to pretend. And in a society obsessed with noise and image, that kind of presence is not just rare, it's unforgettable. Number 5, his discipline in daily life. She notices, even when he thinks no one's watching, how he eats, how he trains, how he moves through space with a certain deliberate grace. There's a rhythm to him, not loud or boastful, but deeply intentional. Every motion is a reflection of discipline, a quiet echo of a man mastering himself. This isn't about vanity or performance, it's about integrity. His structure, both physical and mental, radiates from beneath the surface. She sees the way he orders his plate, not out of obsession, but because he understands that nutrition is fuel for a greater mission. She sees how he doesn't skip leg day, how he finishes each rep with purpose, and how he trains not to impress, but to evolve. Science backs it too. Studies show that women are subconsciously attuned to physical symmetry, posture, and signs of self-regulation. Evolutionary psychology tells us that these cues signal strength, competence, and long-term potential. But what she really notices goes beyond biology. It's the way he holds himself in stillness, how his eyes don't dart nervously but rest with intention. It's the calm in his chaos. In a world full of noise, he becomes a signal, and she can't help but watch. Because a man who's in control of himself becomes magnetic without ever needing to say a word. He doesn't chase attention. He commands it by the way he moves through his own world. And while most are busy trying to be seen, he's too focused on becoming. That's the difference. That's what makes her notice. Not because he's trying to be someone, but because he already is. Number 6, his gaze, not just eye contact. The way he looks, calm, steady, assessing, not hungry, not impressed, just aware. That unbroken gaze holds weight. It's not flirtation, it's presence. You see, in a world where most people glance around nervously, constantly distracted or seeking approval, the Sigma male's gaze is different. It's centered, grounded, and intentional. Scientifically, eye contact is one of the most powerful nonverbal cues in human interaction, capable of increasing trust, enhancing connection, and even triggering the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. But what makes the Sigma male's gaze unique isn't just biological, it's psychological. Unlike the alpha, who dominates with energy, or the beta, who avoids confrontation, the Sigma observes. He studies without judgment, without craving attention. He doesn't look at you to win you over. He looks to it's this depth that unsettles and captivates at the same time. You get the sense he sees through the noise, past the masks, and into the core of who someone really is. That's why people feel exposed around him, yet strangely drawn in. His gaze doesn't dance or perform. And in that stillness, others become aware of their own noise. It's powerful because it reflects self-mastery, a silent confidence rooted in knowing himself, not needing validation. In fact, studies in psychology suggest that those who maintain longer, more intentional eye contact tend to be perceived as more intelligent, honest, and competent. But in the case of the Sigma male, it's more than perception, it's truth. That presence, that subtle awareness, that ability to be fully in the moment without trying to control it, that's what sets him apart. So when he looks at you, it's not just a glance, it's a mirror, one that reflects more about you than about him. And that's why his gaze is unforgettable. Number 7, his lack of emotional volatility. Where other men get reactive, the Sigma remains composed. It's not because he doesn't feel emotions, he does, but he's mastered the art of self-regulation. While most people tend to react instinctively to provocation, the Sigma male has trained himself to pause, assess, and respond with intention. This isn't just a personality trait, it's a learned psychological discipline rooted in emotional intelligence and stoic philosophy. In situations where tempers flare or egos clash, the Sigma doesn't add fuel to the fire. Instead, he becomes the eye of the storm, calm, still, and dangerously observant. Women notice this immediately. It's not just that he avoids drama, it's that he handles it with a strategic mind. When she witnesses how he processes confrontation, his tone steady, body language relaxed, and words sharp but minimal, she experiences a strange mix of emotions. On one hand, she feels challenged. She can't manipulate him with emotional outbursts or bait him into arguments. He doesn't play into theatrics. On the other hand, she feels inexplicably safe. If a man can keep his cool under pressure, protect his peace without resorting to aggression, and think 2 moves ahead, he becomes a fortress of emotional stability. This composure signals maturity, control, and reliability, qualities that trigger both trust and admiration on a subconscious level. Neurologically, humans are wired to gravitate toward those who regulate stress well. So when a woman sees that the Sigma male isn't just stoic, but emotionally intelligent, it triggers a primal response. She's intrigued, impressed, and drawn to his mystery. While chaos repels most people, the Sigma's composure under fire becomes a magnetic force. He doesn't have to raise his voice or flex his muscles. His calm silence speaks volumes. And in a world full of noise, that kind of silence feels powerful, even irresistible. Number 8, his resistance to seduction games. He doesn't fall for teasing, tests, or traps. And that's exactly what sets him apart. While many men are easily swayed by flirtatious bait, emotional manipulation, or passive-aggressive mind games, the Sigma male is wired differently. His emotional detachment is not a weakness, but a form of higher calibration. He sees through the surface-level antics that some women use, subtle tests to gauge interest, fake emergencies to demand attention, or strategic silence designed to provoke a response. Instead of reacting, he observes. This unshakable demeanor throws her off balance at first. She notices how her usual tactics, which work so effortlessly on others, bounce right off him like pebbles against stone. But strangely, this doesn't push her away, it draws her in even deeper. Psychologically, this is due to what researchers call intermittent reinforcement, a concept from behavioral psychology that explains how unpredictable outcomes can create stronger emotional investment. His lack of immediate response doesn't signal disinterest, it triggers curiosity. She begins to wonder what's different about him. Why doesn't he chase validation like the rest? The answer lies in his self-contained nature. He knows who he is and doesn't need anyone else's behavior to confirm it. That level of self-assurance radiates power and mystery. It's not rejection, it's refinement, and it commands a new level of respect. Suddenly, the game changes. She shifts from testing him to seeking his approval. His silence becomes louder than any compliment. His presence becomes more magnetic than 100 charming words. Because when a man doesn't react, doesn't chase, and doesn't fall into the same traps others do, he forces the world around him to rise to his level. That's the quiet power of a Sigma male. It's not that he doesn't care, it's that he cares on a frequency most people haven't yet tuned into. Number 9. His cold boundaries. He doesn't argue, he doesn't justify, he withdraws. And that quiet exit speaks louder than 1,000 heated words. Psychologically, this behavior taps into the concept of emotional self-regulation and boundaries, traits that women subconsciously admire. Unlike reactive men who try to convince or control, he simply enforces space with calm, controlled detachment. It's not about manipulation, it's about power, the kind rooted in self-respect. Women may not admit it, but they respect the man who can walk away without causing a scene. His silence isn't weakness, it's strength, a rare display of inner discipline that says, I don't chase, I choose. Number 10, his focus on mission over pleasure. While others get distracted by noise, the Sigma male sharpens his focus like a blade. She notices, not because he boasts, but because his actions are deliberate. He protects his time and energy with the same precision elite athletes guard their recovery. According to psychology studies, individuals who prioritize solitude and self-mastery often outperform their peers in long-term goals. His ambition isn't loud, it doesn't need to be. It shows in how he says no without guilt and commits without hesitation. This quiet intensity becomes magnetic. She sees a man who isn't chasing attention, he's chasing purpose. And that's what makes him unforgettable. Number 11, his rare vulnerability, not weakness, but truth. When a Sigma male finally opens up, it's never for show. It's not to win sympathy, prove a point, or manipulate a moment. It's simply real. Stripped of filters and ego, his words come from a place of deep self-awareness and honesty. In a society obsessed with image and performance, this level of authenticity is rare. Sigma males don't speak to impress, they speak to express. Psychology supports this. Emotionally grounded individuals are more likely to form deeper connections because they communicate without masks. When he opens up, you're not hearing a script, you're hearing his soul. Number 12, his presence after he's gone. Even in absence, the Sigma male leaves a lasting impression. Unlike others who chase attention or validation, he moves through life with quiet confidence and self-possession. His words are few but impactful, often lingering in the mind like echoes in an empty hall. His silence isn't awkward, it's powerful. Psychology suggests we remember people who evoke mystery and emotional contrast, and the Sigma does just that. His detachment doesn't signal indifference, it challenges the mind and stirs the soul. Women remember him not because he sought to be unforgettable, but because he didn't. That paradox makes his presence eternal, even in absence. The Sigma male doesn't see what others see. He's not caught up in society's mirror, constantly adjusting himself to fit expectations. While most men mold themselves to be liked, to impress, to be chosen, he opts out. Ironically, it's this very detachment that draws people in, especially women. They notice everything, the way he moves with purpose, how he doesn't seek approval, and the way his silence speaks louder than empty charm. He becomes rare because he doesn't need to be seen. Psychological studies show that people are magnetically drawn to confidence paired with mystery, and Sigma males exude both without effort. His restraint is his strength, his quiet confidence a signal of depth. While the world clamors for attention, he chases mastery, purpose, and self-possession. That's what makes him unforgettable. In a society addicted to noise, his calm becomes revolutionary. He's not unseen because he's invisible, but because he chooses to be. And that choice, paradoxically, is what makes him impossible to ignore. The most dangerous man isn't the one with the loudest voice or the biggest following. It's the one who dares to walk alone, who finds God not in the noise of crowds, but in the sacred silence of his own soul. This man is the Sigma male. He doesn't live for the spotlight, nor does he seek validation from a world he sees as shallow and often misguided. He's not rebelling for the sake of rebellion. He simply doesn't belong to the herd. But when that independence intersects with a spiritual awakening, the result is something truly rare. A man who is not only detached from societal illusion, but also deeply connected to the eternal. This is not about adopting a religion or subscribing to dogma. It's about experiencing the divine from within through intuition, inner knowing, and a powerful sense of presence. Neurologically, meditation and solitude are proven to enhance brain plasticity, sharpen focus, and reduce cortisol levels. But beyond the biology, something metaphysical occurs too. The Sigma male begins to operate from a space of stillness and clarity that most never reach. He doesn't manipulate reality, he moves in harmony with it. While others are reactive, he's proactive. While others are driven by fear, he's anchored in purpose. In spiritual traditions from ancient Stoicism to Eastern mysticism, the enlightened man is always the one who seeks silence, not applause. The Sigma's detachment is not weakness, it's the foundation for his power. And once he begins tapping into higher awareness, what some might call God, source, or divine intelligence, he becomes a force that can't be swayed by trends or temptations. He sees through the matrix, not with conspiracy, but with clarity. He realizes that peace isn't found out there, it's created within, and once you find that, no one can take it from you. So this isn't a fantasy, this is a deep inner transformation rooted in fact in philosophy and in lived experience. Because when a Sigma male unlocks his spiritual powers, he doesn't just elevate himself, he shifts the entire atmosphere around him. Welcome to the realm of the unseen, welcome to the awakening. Number one, he detaches from ego, not confidence. Confidence says, I can. Ego says, I must. It's a subtle but powerful distinction that separates authentic self-belief from the fragile need to prove oneself. When a Sigma male begins to walk the spiritual path, this difference becomes even more pronounced. A true Sigma doesn't operate from ego. He doesn't perform for applause or seek validation from the crowd. Instead, he embodies quiet confidence, rooted in awareness rather than arrogance. The ego thrives on comparison, competition, and constant noise. It whispers that success must be flaunted and strength must be shown. But the spiritual Sigma sees through this illusion. He realizes that the ego is not his identity, but merely a mask, one that craves control and fears vulnerability. As he becomes more conscious, the need to prove himself begins to dissolve. He stops reacting to criticism, stops chasing recognition, and stops engaging in battles that serve no higher purpose. In spiritual growth, there's a concept known as ego death, a moment when the false self falls away, revealing the deeper, timeless being underneath. For the Sigma, this process doesn't strip him of power, it reveals his truest strength. His silence becomes a fortress, his detachment becomes focus. And his stillness is not emptiness, but presence, charged with awareness, purpose, and inner fire. Psychologically, this state aligns with what Carl Jung called individuation, the integration of the unconscious self, leading to wholeness. The Sigma doesn't dominate others to feel powerful, he masters himself. In a world obsessed with appearances, his lack of pretense is radical. He becomes the observer rather than the reactor, grounded in truth rather than image. And this non-reactive awareness becomes his shield. It allows him to remain calm under pressure, patient through chaos, and wise amid manipulation. Spiritual confidence is not loud, it's quiet and unwavering. The Sigma doesn't say, "Look at me." He simply is, and that is enough. Number 2, he sees patterns in people and energy. He's not just reading body language anymore, he's reading energy fields. What used to be subtle cues, like a raised eyebrow or crossed arms, have now evolved into something deeper and more instinctive. Imagine entering a room and feeling a shift in the atmosphere without a word being spoken. He senses that. This isn't some mystical power pulled from thin air, it's actually grounded in neuroscience and psychology. The human brain, particularly the amygdala and prefrontal cortex, processes micro-expressions and emotional cues faster than conscious thought can catch up. Over time, especially through solitude, reflection, and observation, the mind becomes more attuned to these patterns. For him, conversations now feel like chessboards, not because he's trying to manipulate anyone, but because he's already several moves ahead. He's mapped out the possible motivations, underlying emotions, and hidden intentions before a word leaves the other person's lips. People begin to reveal themselves not just in what they say, but in how they shift their weight, the pauses between their words, and the flicker of discomfort in their eyes. It's not paranoia. Paranoia is rooted in fear and irrational suspicion. What he's doing is pattern recognition, refined over years of silence, heartbreaks, betrayal, and time spent watching the world rather than jumping into its chaos. This level of awareness isn't just mental, it's energetic. Research shows that the human body emits measurable electromagnetic fields, and sensitive individuals can pick up on shifts in that field. So when he reads energy, he's really interpreting the unspoken emotional frequencies, nervous tension, and subconscious tells. He's not being cynical, he's being calibrated. Stillness became his greatest teacher, and through that stillness, his intuition sharpened. Now, he doesn't just hear what people say, he feels what they're trying to hide. He doesn't react, he reads, calculates, and chooses whether or not to engage. This is emotional intelligence on another level, fueled by solitude, forged in trials, and activated by a deep alignment with his inner self. Number 3, his discipline becomes sacred. Before, it was just willpower. Now, it's purpose. This transformation marks the awakening of a deeper consciousness, a shift from merely surviving to intentionally living. In the past, he would fast just to prove he could resist food, a raw demonstration of grit. But now fasting becomes a sacred discipline, not to punish the body, but to master desire. It's a quiet rebellion against the culture of indulgence. Science even backs this up. Fasting has been shown to improve mental clarity, enhance focus, and reduce inflammation in the body. But for him, the real reward isn't physical, it's spiritual. He learns that desire is not the enemy, but the teacher. He observes it, studies it, and ultimately rules it. Rising early isn't about checking off another box on a productivity list or worshipping the grind. It's about reclaiming the stillness of dawn. He wakes before the world does, not to hustle, but to listen, to the silence, to the breath, to the quiet whisper of divine guidance. According to research, early risers often report higher levels of satisfaction and self-discipline. But again, that's just a side effect. For him, it's about tuning into a frequency the noise of the day drowns out. Routine evolves into ritual, not in a robotic sense, but as a ceremony of intention. Every act, no matter how small, pouring water, opening a window, tying shoes, becomes deliberate, infused with awareness. Studies in psychology show that rituals, even simple ones, can reduce anxiety and boost performance. But more than that, rituals anchor the soul. They remind him that life isn't a blur to be rushed through. It's sacred ground to be walked with reverence. So now every step, every breath, every choice is purposeful. He's no longer running on empty motivation or shallow trends. He's aligned with a deeper rhythm, a calling. This is more than discipline, it's devotion. More than mindset, it's transformation. When willpower fades, purpose endures. This is how a man becomes unshakable. Not through external force, but internal alignment. He no longer acts to prove, he acts to become. Number 4, he feels time differently. Most people are stuck in a mental prison, replaying past mistakes or fantasizing about futures that never arrive. They live in a haze of what-ifs and someday, rarely grounded in the power of now. But the spiritual Sigma is wired differently. He doesn't live in regret, nor does he chase illusions. He exists in deep presence, a state that most can only touch for fleeting moments. While others let time manage them, he masters time by mastering his focus. This isn't mystical fluff. Neuroscience confirms that our perception of time changes based on attention. When you're fully immersed, what psychologists call a flow state, time either expands or contracts. The Sigma lives in this zone naturally. One focused hour of his effort can produce results that take others weeks to accomplish, simply because he's undistracted, intentional, and aligned. He doesn't fear aging or death because he's not spending his life running away from it. Unlike the masses who are terrified by the ticking clock, he understands that every second is a chance to walk in purpose. He's not interested in accumulating time, he's interested in filling it with meaning. To him, legacy isn't about how long he lives, but how deeply he lives. And that's what bends reality. This kind of presence shifts everything. Conversations become richer, work becomes sacred. Relationships are no longer about filling a void, but about sharing abundance. He is calm in chaos because he isn't chasing the external world. He's rooted within. Studies have shown that mindfulness, which the Sigma embodies naturally, can lower stress, enhance memory, and even slow biological aging. So while society rushes ahead, constantly distracted, the Sigma male walks slowly but with precision. And in that slowness, he gets more done, feels more alive, and connects more deeply. Because when you stop trying to beat time and start being fully in it, you don't just live longer, you live fuller. Number 5, he learns to listen to the invisible. He trusts the silence between thoughts, the pause before action, the gut feeling that makes no logical sense but always turns out right. This isn't mysticism, it's high-functioning perception, and the truth is most men are simply too noisy inside to hear it. In a world addicted to distraction, noise has become the default setting. Constant input, endless scrolling, voices, opinions, and algorithms, all vying for control over the mind. But a Sigma male is different. He doesn't run from silence, he runs toward it. Neuroscience shows that the human brain, when quiet, is still highly active in what's called the default mode network, a space where introspection, deep processing, and creative insight occur. This is where the Sigma lives. The silence between thoughts is not empty for him. It's a portal to something deeper, an intuitive intelligence that bypasses the surface chatter and locks directly onto truth. That gut feeling people talk about. It's not magic, it's the brain's subconscious processing of thousands of micro-signals that logic hasn't caught up with yet. And while others second-guess or overanalyze, the Sigma moves, not rashly, but precisely. It's the pause before action where his power lies, that brief moment of stillness when he consults an internal compass that no one else can read. History is full of silent strategists like this: Marcus Aurelius, Miyamoto Musashi, and Nikola Tesla, men who understood that clarity isn't found in the noise, but in the quiet spaces most people avoid. The Sigma's detachment from emotional chaos allows him to pick up on the subtle, the hidden, and the patterns no one else sees. While the world looks outward for answers, he looks inward, and he's rarely wrong. It's not arrogance, it's attunement. His silence is not emptiness, it's bandwidth. His pause is not hesitation, it's calibration. And that gut feeling, that centuries of instinct honed by solitude, sharpened by experience, and executed without the need for applause. In the end, most men react. The Sigma male responds. And the difference between the two isn't just noticeable, it's undeniable. Number 6, he stops needing to win. The spiritual Sigma male has transcended the need to chase outcomes for validation. Unlike the average man who is driven by results, status, or applause, the Sigma has outgrown that addiction. He understands that attachment to outcomes breeds anxiety, ego, and illusion. His focus isn't on whether he wins or loses, but on whether he stayed true to himself in the process. This mindset is rooted in ancient wisdom and echoed in philosophies from Stoicism to Buddhism. Control what you can, release what you can't. The Sigma only plays games that align with his purpose. He doesn't engage in meaningless competitions or seek approval in empty victories. If something doesn't resonate with his energy, he walks away. No drama, no explanation, no guilt. This isn't apathy, it's energetic discipline. He knows that peace is more valuable than proving a point. When he loses, he doesn't internalize it. His self-worth isn't wounded because it never hinged on the scoreboard to begin with. He's learned that failure is just a teacher wearing a different costume. His identity isn't built on titles, trophies, or opinions. It's built on alignment, on whether his choices match his soul's path. He listens deeply to that inner compass. If it says no, he obeys, even when the world screams yes. That's what makes him so rare. In a society obsessed with hustle, noise, and validation, the spiritual Sigma moves in silence and substance. He's not easily swayed by outcomes because he lives for something deeper, authenticity. He doesn't chase, he attracts. He doesn't force, he flows. He doesn't need to dominate the game because he understands the game is an illusion unless it aligns with his higher self. In this space of detachment, he becomes untouchable. Not because he's cold or arrogant, but because he has mastered what so many never will, the art of letting go. He doesn't fear walking alone because solitude brings him closer to source, and in that connection he finds everything: peace, power, and clarity. The spiritual Sigma's superpower is this: he's already won by simply being in tune with who he really is. Number 7, he attracts without trying. When a man is fully present, he radiates a rare energy that speaks louder than words ever could. He doesn't need to posture or boast. His calm demeanor is rooted in something deeper than ego. It's not that he's trying to impress anyone. In fact, he often doesn't care whether anyone notices him or not. But paradoxically, this very indifference becomes a powerful magnet. This is not the flashy charm of charisma. It's something more grounded, more ancient. It's energetic gravity. When a man operates from a place of stillness and self-awareness, his presence alone shifts the energy in a room. He listens more than he speaks. He sees without judgment. He moves with intention. And this quiet confidence unsettles people because it's not common. In a society obsessed with constant validation, performance, and noise, the Sigma male stands apart. He is a vortex of authenticity in a world that's addicted to masks. Women are naturally drawn to it, not because he's trying to attract them, but because his authenticity awakens something deep in their subconscious, something ancient and biological. He feels safe, grounded, and yet mysterious. On the other hand, many men become confused or even threatened by this energy because it challenges the unspoken rules of masculine identity built around dominance, competition, and external achievement. But no matter how people react, whether with desire, confusion, or envy, one thing is consistent: they can't ignore him. Psychologists and energy theorists often speak of presence as a real phenomenon, measurable in brainwave coherence and heart rate variability. When someone is in deep alignment with themselves, their body emits a frequency of calm authority, often referred to as heart coherence or harmonic resonance. This is why monks, warriors, and sages throughout history have all been described as having a certain aura about them. That aura isn't mystical fluff. It's biology aligning with spiritual maturity. The Sigma male, in his quiet glow, embodies this principle. He doesn't chase validation because he has already validated himself. He doesn't seek control because he has mastered self-control. And this inner alignment makes him unforgettable. Not because he forces his way into people's attention, but because his very being reminds others of what they've lost: their own authenticity. Number 8, he becomes the mirror. Once spiritually awakened, the Sigma male undergoes a powerful internal transformation, one that elevates him from a man of action to a man of presence. He no longer reacts impulsively to chaos or conflict. Instead, he reflects. In this reflective state, he becomes an immovable force, calm and grounded like a mountain amid a storm. This unshakable demeanor unnerves manipulators who thrive on emotional reactivity. Their tactics fall flat because the Sigma doesn't bite the bait. He sees through their games with piercing clarity, and his silence becomes louder than any argument. The insecure too find his stillness agitating. Why? Because it mirrors back their own unrest. They expect others to match their frequency of drama or neediness. But the Sigma doesn't. He operates on a different wavelength altogether. To the evolved, however, this frequency is magnetic. They recognize the depth in his stillness, the wisdom in his words, and the power in his restraint. Scientifically, this shift in presence can even be observed. Research in neuroscience has shown that emotionally regulated individuals exhibit stronger activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational thought and self-awareness. The spiritually awakened Sigma lives from this space. His presence changes rooms, shifts conversations, and exposes truths without uttering a word. He's not merely a man anymore, he's energy, a vibration that disrupts the unconscious patterns of others. People don't always know why they feel drawn to or unsettled by him. It's because he resonates at a frequency they're not used to, a frequency of truth, detachment, and awakened consciousness. He's not here to be understood, he's here too. And in that being, others either rise to meet him or fall away, unable to exist in the same field of awareness. When a Sigma male unlocks his spiritual power, it's not some flashy transformation with loud declarations or outward displays. Instead, it's a quiet yet earth-shaking shift. He doesn't seek attention, he becomes. This man no longer chases validation from the world. He's discovered the universe within. Like a sword forged in fire and refined in silence, he hones his soul through solitude, reflection, and intense self-awareness. The world can no longer deceive him because he's attuned to deeper truths. Neuroscience shows that meditation and inner work sharpen cognitive function and heighten emotional intelligence. Tools the Sigma uses to navigate reality with precision. He doesn't react impulsively. He observes, then moves with intention. This isn't about becoming a monk or escaping society. It's about conquering the battlefield of the mind and then mastering the outer world through sheer presence. A spiritually awakened Sigma doesn't need followers because he's not leading anyone but himself. Yet, paradoxically, people follow him. They feel his gravity. He walks into a room and changes the energy without saying a word. Like a storm that doesn't thunder, his impact is silent but undeniable. When he chooses to disappear, he does so without explanation, and when he returns, he's reborn, wiser, sharper, and more aligned. His power doesn't scream, it whispers, it doesn't crowd, it clears the path. In a world addicted to noise, the Sigma's stillness becomes his superpower. And when he walks with purpose, quietly, powerfully, unforgettably.